The film opens with a wonderful juxtaposition of two women, one writhing in agony as blood pours from her body, the other quivering with pleasure. For Pauline, this is just a dream, but the reality of her life is not much better. Her sister Grace suffers from cystic fibrosis and is confined to a rocking chair, hooked up to machines to keep her alive. Meanwhile, Pauline's parents, Bob and Phyllis, fight over trivial matters like Bob not putting the toilet seat down. As the family sits down for breakfast, Phyllis scolds Pauline for eating too loudly, showing her favoritism toward Grace. But Phyllis's attempts to mold Pauline into the perfect woman only push her daughter further away. Phyllis may think she is teaching Pauline how to be a woman, but in reality, she is teaching her how not to be a good mother. In class, Pauline asks if having sex with a dead person can cause diseases, but the teacher ignores her and moves on. Pauline overhears Natalie complaining about a bad sexual experience she had with her boyfriend Adam, and Abigail teases Natalie by suggesting that her boyfriend might be gay. When Adam arrives, Pauline suddenly blurts out that she is not attractive enough to be gay. In the car, she and Phyllis are on their way to a church to see a reverend. Pauline wants to see a therapist, but Phyllis says it is too expensive. This shows that Phyllis does not care about Pauline's mental health. At church, Pauline asks the reverend about the church's stance on organ donation, and the reverend says he believes the body is sacred. William understands Pauline's problems, and he promises that he will make all their future relationships hell. Later, Pauline prays. She says she knows she doesn't believe in God and apologizes for not reading the Bible, as it has mixed reviews. Pauline plans to have premarital sex and apologizes beforehand, saying God will forgive her, provided she apologizes for it. The next day, Pauline finishes her test early and tells her teacher her answers are correct, saying math is not important for her future as a surgeon. Phyllis tries to get Pauline to enroll her daughter in dance class, but Pauline refuses and accuses Phyllis of ruining her life. The deaf woman, a victim of Phyllis's soft speech, quietly expresses relief at not being able to hear their argument, while Pauline throws away the leaflet and leaves. At the dinner table, Pauline argues that she is too old for cotillion class. Phyllis wants Pauline to go to cotillion class so she can learn to behave like a good lady. Grace says she is looking forward to going to cotillion class, and Phyllis smiles. Pauline turns to Bob, who is clearly disinterested. Bob's response angers Phyllis, and she walks out. Later that night, Pauline dreams of a corpse. Then she climbs on top of it and starts licking it and rubbing herself on the corpse. Then she wakes up with shock in her eyes. At school, Pauline asks Adam to take her virginity, but he is not interested. She gives him her number, and he accepts out of courtesy. Later, Pauline draws Grace's figure on the sidewalk and tells her of her plan to take her virginity, also during her period. Phyllis interrupts and invites them in. In another room, Pauline gets her nose pierced and dreams of being in a tub of blood with other women. She wakes up happily, and Pauline's perverted dreams give us a glimpse into her degraded mentality and repressed sexual desires. Although she wants Adam to take her virginity, she mostly dreams of adultery with women. At breakfast, Phyllis and Bob are upset by Pauline's new piercing. Phyllis tells her to remove it, but Pauline refuses. Bob also orders Pauline to remove it, and she complies. Later Phyllis and Bob have a talk, and Phyllis expresses concern about becoming like her mother. Bob reassures her. Meanwhile, Pauline sees her neighbor Kimberly jump rope and approaches her to join in, but Kimberly rudely refuses. Later, Pauline is searching for surgical tools on her computer when Adam calls to accept her offer and agrees to pick her up on Monday. In the bathroom, she smells a blood-soaked tampon in her loo, expressing her concern that her dead relatives are watching her. She worries that they will see her sleeping with Adam. Her family falls asleep on the couch watching TV, and Pauline watches a channel in which a man is moaning. She dreams of being surrounded by a woman, a young man, and an old man who are ready to devour her. She wakes up the next morning next to a puddle of saliva. Pauline tells her mother that she is going to study with Adam and has him give her a makeover. Adam arrives, and they leave together, while Phyllis proudly says goodbye. At a motel, Pauline and Adam quickly get to work. Pauline asks Adam to undress, and they have sex. While doing so, Pauline cannot stop herself from imagining strangling Adam and both of them bleeding. She finds it exciting. Pauline asks Adam to have sex with her, and when he feels awkward, he goes to the bathroom. His mouth is full of blood, and in disgust he takes her back home. Pauline smiles and thanks Adam for the wonderful time. Adam curses her and leaves. Phyllis greets Pauline and seems to know what happened. Pauline pleads once more, this time asking him not to get her pregnant because she will miscarry. She has another dream in which a bloody fetus comes out of her body and is put into a washing machine. Phyllis tells Grace that her friend from camp has died. She tells Pauline to be nice to Grace, as she is going through a difficult time. Pauline, given the risks of Grace's lung transplant, suggests other options for her. Grace tells Bob that the worst part of cystic fibrosis is losing friends. At church, Pauline does not cooperate with the Reverend, and says that her condition needs science, not religion. They leave without making any progress. Pauline prays to give Grace the strength to save her mother in exchange for her life. The next day, Kimberly goes to ask for donations for her jump rope club, and Pauline threatens to perform a tracheotomy on her. In the locker room, Natalie and Abigail make fun of Pauline's appearance, and Natalie tells her that Adam has been available since their breakup, but Pauline refuses, because he is not good in bed. Later, Pauline marks her stomach and plans to have umbilicoplasty to change her appearance. Grace points to her chest and says that her sons only care about two things, and Pauline says she is doing it for herself. But deep inside, she knows she is not. Thinking in front of the mirror, Pauline remembers the time she nearly drowned, and Bob revived her, but Phyllis was just worried about Bob's cold sores getting to her and blames her near-death experience on her naivety. At dinner, Phyllis again mentions the cotillion class and buys Pauline a dress, which Pauline does not like. Later, Pauline expresses her desire to get married, and Phyllis tries to get her to wear the dress. Pauline asks Phyllis if she still loves her, and Phyllis says yes, but changes the topic to a cold sore on Pauline's lip. She then tells Pauline they have to avoid taking pictures. Pauline is depressed and later has a dream about a woman's tongue being cut out. At school, Pauline vomits on Abigail after stealing medicine from the cupboard and drinking it. At home, Phyllis asks Pauline to steal a bottle of Ipecac from the cupboard. She accepts it and confesses that she only did it to avoid cotillion, but Phyllis is adamant. She feels proud and tries to get Pauline to perform at the dance. Pauline stands out among the teenagers. Finally, she finds a lonely girl who joins her but suggests surgery to fix her face. The girl is shocked and leaves. Later, Grace is caught kissing a boy, and Phyllis scolds her. Pauline is dancing with a young boy when he notices a sore on her mouth. He finds it disgusting and pushes her away. Pauline, feeling spiteful, kisses him in front of everyone, causing a scene. Phyllis is disgusted and takes her children home. Phyllis slaps Pauline when she gets home, and at dinner Pauline throws food at Phyllis and runs into her bedroom. Later she overhears Phyllis telling Bob that she cannot love Pauline. Pauline bursts into tears as she hears this near her door. The next day, Pauline finds a dead bird on her way to school and takes it home to save it, but it is too far gone. As she is licking the bird's blood off her fingers, Phyllis knocks on her door. At dinner, Pauline and Bob talk about the toilet, but Phyllis interrupts and says it is inappropriate. Pauline tries to go, but Phyllis does not allow her to. She then criticizes Phyllis's weight gain and blames it on menopause. Later, Pauline prays and apologizes for her sexual desires the next morning. Phyllis talks to Pauline and admits her shortcomings as a mother. She reveals that her own mother was also abusive to her and does not want a similar relationship with Pauline. Pauline rebuffs her mother's attempts to get in touch and moves out. The next morning, the family wakes up to find the house ransacked. Pauline becomes suspicious of Natalie and Abigail and seeks revenge by attacking Natalie at school. In the principal's office, Pauline blames her mental health for her actions, but her parents have never taken her to a doctor. At home, Pauline tells Phyllis that she probably has a personality disorder that has not been diagnosed in years, and that her actions are a cry for help. Phyllis ignores this and sends Pauline to her room. In the bathroom, Pauline makes a red cross sign on her arm and Phyllis scolds her. Over dinner, Phyllis and Bob express disappointment, and Bob says she will not pursue a career in medicine. Phyllis calls her delusional. Pauline dreams of being worshipped in blood and guts. At breakfast, Phyllis tells Pauline they are sending her to a psychiatrist, but Pauline feels it is too late. Later, Phyllis learns that Grace needs a lung transplant, and Pauline overhears this, promising to help Grace live to be old enough to marry. Grace asks Pauline to be her maid of honor. Over dinner, Pauline expresses gratitude for her parents' tolerance, telling them she wants to change and help Grace with her illness. Bob supports her, but Phyllis is skeptical. As the night falls, Pauline thanks God for her new determination and takes Grace's measurements for surgery. While her mother is out, Pauline slips a powder into Bob's tea, and they talk, with Bob telling her to be more understanding towards Phyllis. Outside, Pauline apologizes to Kimberly and lures her into the garage with an old rope. But when Kimberly is distracted, Pauline quickly covers her face with a cloth and pulls her inside. Then she fixes her sister's hair and promises that Grace will be grateful for whatever happens next. As she leans in for a hug, Pauline covers Grace's face with a cloth, knocking her unconscious. The stage is set for the final surgical procedure, a procedure that will change everything. In the bathroom, Pauline cuts her hair in preparation for surgery. In the garage, Grace and Kimberly's bodies lie lifeless and exposed. Pauline carefully removes Grace's lungs and replaces them with Kimberly's. Meanwhile, Phyllis arrives, and she finds Bob tied up and unconscious. Phyllis searches for her missing daughters while Bob struggles to break free. She eventually reaches the garage and confronts Pauline about her handiwork. Pauline invites her to see Grace's stitches and apologizes for her careless technique. The film ends with Pauline urging her mother to take a closer look at her, who runs toward her and grabs her, holding her and screaming hysterically. Pauline is proud at first, but then begins to cry.